Thomas Edwin Couillard and Mary Ann Matravers were married in Couillardville in 1881. 11 years later, in 1892, they moved to Meadow Brook Farm with their children, Zora Amber, then age 9, Hazel Nellie, age 6, and Asa, age 3. This photo of the family was likely taken about 1910. The children, left to right, are Asa, Nellie, and Zora. On August 26, 2018, the families of Couillardville celebrated the 125th anniversary of Ed and Mary Ann establishing Meadow Brook Farm. 5 of their descendants graciously took on the family member roles to provide Machine Shed reunion guests with a little glimpse into the lives as viewed from 1928. You see, Mary Ann kept a diary, and her diary for the year 1928 formed part of the context for this group's efforts. In the first video, we will hear from the parents, with Paul Jansen, a great-great-grandson of Thomas Edwin, playing his role, and Virginia Jansen Trebutowski playing Mary Ann, her great-great-grandmother. In the second video, we'll hear from the 3 children, played by other descendants.
Well, the answer is we're going to do a little time traveling here today. We're going to go back about 90 years. I'm 69-year-old Ed Couillard. And I'm going to tell you about my life story, so we're going to go back to 1928 is the year I'm talking as a 69-year-old, but I'm going to tell you about my childhood and my wife and family going forward. So I was born in 1859 as a 13-year-old boy. My father, Jacob, who was down on the record down there, pulled me out of school. And we started lumberjacking. He was already doing it. I started doing it with him at that point up on the Wapee Creek, which is about 40 miles northwest of here. And we were experienced horse people, so our job was to drive the sleighs on the ice that haul the logs to the riverbed. And at that time, the white pines is mostly what they were harvesting. Keep in mind, we had crosscut saws and axes. That was the only tools we had. And we would drop these logs at the river edge, and because they were the pines, they would float. So they would stay there until the spring, and then in the spring they would dump them in the river, and then they would float them downstream, ultimately into the Oconto River, and then to the mills. So when I was 22 years old, I married my beautiful wife here, Mary Ann Matravers, and we had 3 children, Zora, Nell, and Asa. So there is a little bit of a backdrop here. I know we have some Matravers folks here, we have Couillards. So her father wasn't particularly fond of me. You know that story. And Jacob, my father, had some financial troubles, and the bank took the farm and had a sale, and her father bought the farm. So then when we started dating, I think maybe he thought at some point I might inherit that back, and so there might be something that went on there. Anyway, I'd like to go ahead and introduce my wife, Mary Ann.
I'm Mary Ann. My husband and I are owners of Meadow Brook Farm. I'm one of 12 children of Matilda and John Matravers from England. After they were married, they came over to the United States. And I was raised on the Matravers Farm, which is okay, yeah. I attended the Couillardville School and later obtained a teacher's certificate. When it was normal for people to go to school for 5 to 6 years, or through 5th and 6th grade at that time. But in order to obtain a teacher's certificate, you went 7 or 8. So then I taught. And taught at Oconto Falls, Maple Valley, and Country Line School. Okay. As was normal at that time, when you got married, then you no longer were a teacher. So then we went into the, I traveled with Edwin traveled to Bascom Lumber Company near Mountain, where while Edwin worked in the woods, I was a cook. And Edwin tells me that I cooked 5 pounds of food food for each person every day? Per day. Let's see. During that time then, we had our children there in the woods for a short period. And then when the children got a little older, then I came back to Couillardville and lived with my sister on the Travers property close to the school. And then Edwin continued to work in the lumber camp. We were able to save enough money then to purchase the original land here. And then as farming opportunities expanded over the years, we were able to then build as many of you know, I love to cook. To carry out, but this apron really isn't me. It's just a memory thing. I love to cook, so it would not surprise you that my best memories on the farm revolve around the food in the kitchen. Edwin preferred that he worked on the farm and I was in the kitchen and in the home and not working in the field. Pardon? I am thankful for that the Lord offered us the land for our family. And the memories that we have, the best memories of the farm are that Edwin always worked hard cutting wood in the winter, growing and harvesting oats, barley, and wheat, in addition to caring for cattle, hogs, and chickens. Because of his hard work, I was allowed time to grow an abundant vegetable garden, which provided vegetables and an array of fruits for the winter and summer, including raspberries and strawberries for preserves. The lower place that we purchased at a later time also provided patches of wild blackberries and blueberries and along the railroad track, and that allowed for my favorite food, pies and cobbler.
I actually remember as a little girl, like 3 or so, coming to this kitchen at this house and eating your molasses cookies, which I can still taste and smell. They were so wonderful. You were the best cook, I think.